Feeling lost after college is more common than you think, but no one talks about it, so I will. All right, we got a little pretty diagram here that we're gonna be going through. So we know the problem is you're feeling lost after college. Good news and bad news. Bad news is it can suck and it can last a while, like years. But good news, this is a golden opportunity to change your life. And I know because I've been there too. So I graduated from Coastal Carolina in 2022 with a degree in exercise science, and I knew that was gonna do jack shit for me. So I moved back home, started getting a bunch of part-time jobs. I tried personal training, worked at fucking Vitamin Shop, was a server for a bit, and nothing was working. I started doing software engineering part-time while I was working part-time, and really wasn't vibing with that after too long. And during those 2 years, I really just felt unfulfilled, alone, and lost. Eventually, I moved to Florida after getting my tax returns, and I got a shitty sales job, and life was good other than that. I was living by the beach, was making new friends, couldn't complain too much, but I hated the job so much, and there was something inside me telling me that this was not the path for me and that there was more. Felt this desire to travel since I graduated college, but I just never had the funds or any means to do so. And I knew I had to do something about it. So I took a leap of faith. I quit my job, moved back home, and I made it my mission to get a remote job. And a few months later, I got one, and I started solo traveling, and my life was never the same. I'm telling you all this because I was once in your position too. I felt so lost, had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, felt like I was behind, felt like I was never gonna be able to catch up, make money, make friends, and my life was honestly a mess for the first 2.5 years out of college. And this doesn't get talked about a lot, I feel like, because it's not as glamorous. Nobody wants to feel like they're behind or feel like they're lost. So the people who get the dream job and are living the life they want right out of college, you're gonna hear about that more. But nevertheless, it happens. So why does this happen? And there's really 2 reasons. So first one, calling it welcome to the real world. And this is kind of just a lump sum of a bunch of different minor issues that the real world throws at us. So first one, we have problems every young adult faces. Lack of finances. You're new to the adult world, you haven't been working, you're gonna be poor. Imposter syndrome, you're new to a career, you don't have experience, you're gonna feel like you don't know what the fuck you're doing. You have newfound independence. Even though you might be broke, you probably have more money than you did in high school, and now you can spend it, you can do what you want, and if you're living on your own, what do you do? Then there's also the fear of failure. Most people don't want to take risks, they don't want to look stupid, they don't want to fuck up their career. And then there's less structure to life. You went on the default path your whole life, and now you're done with school, and it's up to you to figure out what to do with your life. And then there's the college bubble. And this is comprised of 2 categories. So we have the shrinking social circle, which you have less time to see friends because you're working more, you're not hanging out in a dorm or your apartment. You move to a new city, maybe you move back home, you're not gonna see the same friends that you just saw for the last 4 years. And now you have differing interests, you guys start to split. Number 2, you have unmatched expectations. Work probably isn't gonna be what you thought. That says taught, it's supposed to say thought, but we're gonna leave it in there. But you're probably not gonna get your dream job right out of college, and that's a slap in the face for most people. You can't, or probably shouldn't, party as much as you did in college if you wanna be a functioning adult. Maybe for a bit, but it's not sustainable. And now your 4 years of fun are over, and you're faced with the realities of adulthood. So that's the real world. Again, just kind of blanket issues that most people post-college or just in the early 20s face. And we'll talk about those a bit more later and what you can do to combat them or how to deal with them. And then reason number 2, why you might be feeling lost after college, is you're starting to have an awakening. And this awakening comes from realizing there's 2 paths in life. First, you have the default path. Now, this is the path most people take and most people know. You go to school, get a career, you get married, you have kids, you retire, you die. It's pretty simple, it's laid out for everyone, and this is the path that most people end up taking. And for a good reason. There's a lot that it promises. Social acceptance, there's a clear route, you know where you're gonna go. There's conformity, a lot of people are doing the same thing. Free and fun retired life. If you work your 40 years at 65, you can retire and live the last 20 years of your life happy. And it's a normal life. If you don't rock the boat, nothing bad is gonna happen. But there's no opportunity for greatness and no life design. You're not gonna create the life you want living this default path. And path number 2, your own path. So this path is a lot less certain, it requires more risk, you're gonna be going against the norm, and it doesn't have a clear roadmap. You're gonna have to figure it out for yourself. But there's infinite upside when you compare it to the default path. There's a lot more room for fulfillment. You're gonna meet unique people who are on their own journey, and you create a life for yourself. So creating this life for yourself, you gotta be your own boss and the architect of your own life. You get freedom, location freedom, financial freedom, time freedom, mental freedom. These are all freedoms you build throughout your life that the default path simply does not offer. And you gotta play by your own rules. You don't have to listen to anyone, you gotta create the life you want. But there are some downsides. It's a lot more difficult. It's gonna require a total identity shift. You gotta figure this out for yourself. No one's gonna do it for you. There's no guarantee of financial security if you go the route of an entrepreneur. It goes against what most people do. Like I said, they take the default path, so you're gonna be a bit more lonely on it. And it's gonna take a lot longer to figure out. It's not clear steps laid out for you. You gotta figure it out for yourself. A lot of trial and error, and it just comes with more pains and headaches. And when you realize that you wanna choose your own path, it's gonna be fucking hard at first. You have to figure all this out for yourself. Nothing is promised, and it takes a long time, like I said. And that's why a lot of people feel lost, because they know they should be on this path, but they haven't committed to it yet. Or if you have committed to this path and you're deep in the struggle, it hasn't paid off yet. Like I said, this takes time, it's a lot more difficult, and you're just gonna have to struggle through it for a while. And it's gonna come with some feeling of lost until everything starts to click. And that's where I feel like I'm at now. The last 2.5, 3 years of struggle, it's starting to come together. I'm starting to see meaningful progress. And by no means do I have this all figured out. I still have a long ways to go. But I can at least see different paths ahead start to illuminate, and I know where I want to go and where I can get to. But this takes time, work, and you have to trust the process. So what should you do to stop feeling so lost? There's really 2 things we got to do here. So first, you have to accept the real world struggles that I talked about before. They're going to come with time. So this is the financial struggles, moving to a new city, new independence, imposter syndrome, all those things. Yes, you have to put a bit more effort into them, but it's not like figuring out your path. These are kind of just, you do the things you need to do, you put in effort, you work your job, you make money, and you gain experience and confidence. So that's financial and imposter syndrome. You'll find new friends when you move to a new city. It just, all these things take time, but it's not like you need to make a big decision. And the second part, most importantly, you have to question what path you want to pursue. Do you want to live a normal life like everyone else? If yes, then you take option 1 and follow the default path that I lined out. It's the safe route, it's the easy route. You're basically guaranteed to retire at 65 and live the last 20 years however you want. You'll have more people on the same route, it's more certain. All the things we talked about before, that comes with the default path. But if you don't want to live that normal life, then again, you have to question what path you want to pursue. Do you want to live a fulfilling life designed by you? If yes, then you're going to have to forge your own path. And this is exactly what we were talking about before with designing your own life. That's probably why you're feeling lost right now, because you have disconnect in knowing that you want to create your own path, but you're scared to jump into it. Or 2, you're already on that path of forging your own way and you're in the weeds of it. You can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's fucking hard. You're probably starting to feel lonely because not everyone's taking this path. You're probably broke because you're young and trying to figure out your way. You're not sure if it's even going to work. You see other people who have taken the default path and have their dream jobs succeeding, and you want to be like them. But the one thing I can promise you is if you lean into this, trust yourself, and follow your intuition, follow the path you want to take, and don't listen to anybody else, eventually shit starts to click.